Hello, world history. Here's a video giving some context about today's quiz, which is comparing the technology during the Battle of Britain between Germany, the Nazis, and the British. All right. And so I'll give you a little background and then a brief description about the different technologies. You're going to rank what your top two technologies are. Giving evidence and reasoning. And I have those, I think, 4 or 5 YouTube videos that I'd like you to watch to get information. So in general, okay, here's my blank piece of paper. Hitler first takes over Germany. The Nazis take over Germany. And then they make a pact with Italy. Okay, Italy. And then they make the Anschluss, the alliance with Austria. They're generally taking over this area. Oh, they've also, in Spain, they helped another fascist in Spain win. So think of these as places that Hitler has control over Europe one at a time. Italy actually goes off of Austria. Oh, geez. Make that Italy. Here's France in between. There is Belgium and the Netherlands. Here is Norway, and here is Sweden, and here's Finland. Here is Poland. Here is Czechoslovakia. And so Hitler, he's taken over Austria as a pact with Italy and with Spain. Takes over Czechoslovakia, and then invades Poland to start the war. Over here you've got the USSR, which is in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. And so basically, sorry for this map, but Hitler has a pact with Stalin, right? So he's not in trouble on the east side. He's taken this half of Poland, while Stalin has taken over Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and also Finland. Germany then sets their sights on the west, and they take over Norway, and they take over Netherlands and Belgium, and then they take over France. And over here, at Dunkirk in France is where British troops, 200,000 British troops and roughly 100,000 French troops are able to escape back to Britain because the British civilians and the British Navy, and so just people who own boats, they go across the English Channel and they rescue soldiers back to Britain. And so even though Hitler has taken over France, so many of the British army has escaped, and 100,000 of the French army, including Charles de Gaulle, who's the leader of France, has escaped to Britain. And so who's next on Hitler's target list? It's Britain. And in 1940, the Battle of Britain begins, and Hitler sends out his airplanes over the Channel, and they have these fights over the English Channel, these dog fights or planes fighting each other over Britain. And I want you to look at, compare some of the technologies that were being used and rank them. And so you have, I'm just going to write Germany on this side and Britain on this side of the different tech that they had for the Battle of Britain. Battle of Britain, and the tech that they had, Germany and Britain. So first for planes, Germany had the Messerschmitt. I'm just going to write Mess, and yeah, it's listed as ME-109, the Messerschmitt. And then Britain had the Supermarine Spitfire. I'm just going to write Spitfire. Spitfire also used to be my rap name from years ago. Okay. And so in the video, you'll see there are 4 different characteristics of airplanes that are compared between the Messerschmitt and the Spitfire. One of the characteristics is handling. The other is performance. Performance. The other is firepower. And the last one is pilot survivability. If your plane is hit, can the pilot survive? Survivability. And out of these 4 different traits of fighter aircraft, this is how the Messerschmitt and the Spitfire compare. So the Spitfire has superior handling. So that goes to the Spitfire. Performance, this is another word for the speed. Between the Spitfire and the Messerschmitt, they're equal. Firepower goes to the Messerschmitt. It has superior firepower. And then pilot survivability, that goes also to the Spitfire. So if you're fighting between the Messerschmitt and the Spitfire, what would you rather have? A plane that handles and turns better? The speed's going to be the same. Or would you prefer to have something with superior firepower? So you're able to maneuver better in the Spitfire, and you do have decent firepower, but the firepower of the Messerschmitt is more than the firepower of the Spitfire. Decide which one is better. Which one would you rather be flying with? A Spitfire plane or a Messerschmitt, an ME-109? So who has the superior technology in terms of planes for the Battle of Britain? You decide. And watch that video if you want to see a detailed description of it. Other technology that's important. One is that the British had radar. Oh no, I just spelled it backwards. Okay, that was a joke. In Britain, the radar machine would send radio waves. It sends waves out. And then if it pings, if it hits let's say a German plane coming, that sends a signal back. And then on your radar screen, which looks like that's like a grid sort of, a little ping will show up. And so at the radar station, people who are watching the screen and see incoming dots will then say, hey, Spitfire pilots, go and head toward this area. There are German Messerschmitts coming. And so because of radar, the British were able to see the Germans coming from far away and then scramble their pilots and scramble their planes to fight against the Messerschmitts. So this radar technology, how important was it? Do you think it's even more important than having a Spitfire? How would you rank the radar compared to the Messerschmitt or the Spitfire? That's one of the technologies. Another technology was the German Enigma machine. And you'll see these videos about the Enigma machine. The Enigma machine was able to send messages in code. So it sends coded messages. And it was such an advanced machine that there were something like a million different possibilities of what a single letter could be. And so it was thought to be an unbreakable machine. And so Germans could communicate to each other. A German, let's say in a submarine, would have an Enigma machine, and then someone, let's say at an airfield, would have another Enigma machine. They could send messages back and forth to each other. And even though the British might hear the different code that was coming back and forth, they would be unable to unscramble it. And so they'd be able to speak to each other, the Germans, in this coded message that only they could understand. And so that gives them a technological advantage there too for communication technology. It sure beats the pigeons we were looking at in the First World War, doesn't it? However, the British come up with at a place called Bletchley Park, which is where their secret spy agency is held. They have a team called Ultra, and these Ultra people, one of the most famous mathematicians and the earliest computer scientist, whose name was Alan Turing, was there. And what they did was they developed a way to break the Enigma machine. And if you see the movie The Imitation Game. It's about that, and it's a really great, fun movie about this. And so Alan Turing and the people at Bletchley Park, the code breakers, they create something called the bomb, which is not an actual bomb, but it's one of the first computers. And this computer, they basically get a machine to defeat another machine. And this first computer is able to crack the code of Enigma, and the British are able to figure out what the messages that are being sent by the Germans are. Okay, so you have 5 different pieces of technology. I'd like you to rank your top 2. Give me evidence about the technology you choose, and then reasoning why it is the most important technology for the Battle of Britain. Was the most important technology the British Spitfire? Was it the German Messerschmitt? Was it the radar? Was it the Enigma machine? Or was it Alan Turing and the people at Bletchley Park under Project Ultra and the bomb computer? Was that the most important technology? So which are your top 2? Tell me why. Oh yeah, and spoiler alert, the British won the Battle of Britain. They were successful. Hitler was unable to invade Britain because they were able to defeat the Nazi air attack. And so this marked a turning point in the war, where instead of putting all his forces toward Britain, Hitler's going to turn around, hit Southern Europe, and then eventually the USSR, because Britain is able to push them back here. All right, that's it for today.